Hi. It's been a while. Sorry. Sorry, as the Canadians say. I have had some technical issues trying to get videos up, and I'm hoping I get this in somehow because I'm having so many synchronicities now. It's not even funny. And I just thought this would be an apt subject. So I think the title of this video might be, is it an empathic experience, or is it codependent enmeshment? Because there's a difference. So I have to tell you the difference. I'm not being very articulate right now. I've been having so many technical problems. I can't post anything. The videos don't work. So, what is codependent enmeshment? Some of you might be aware of it, but I'm kind of focusing these videos towards people who may be distrusting of psychology or don't see the value in it, and I'm trying to win them over a little bit about why your paranoia and UFO conspiracy stuff and your love of fairies and inner and outer dimensions may not necessarily be useless, but it may not be useful for the context of your personal misery. So if you're miserable and you're suffering from anxiety or PTSD or CPTSD or codependency or counterdependency, which also has to do with the synchronicity I'm going to talk about, I'm weaving in and out the spiritual with the psychological here because I don't distinguish. But if it's not useful, if it's not practical, if it doesn't serve a purpose in the 3D here and now, there's certain things you have to address in the 3D that are useful, that you have to be able to use. And if you can't use it because you're just focusing on the fairies and the cults of personality and the UFO communities and the New Age movements and oh, aren't they great? That's probably not solving your problem. So I'm not telling you to stop worshiping the cult leader, but maybe you can just take a breather, you can take a 5-minute break and learn about codependent enmeshment and what the difference is between that and hippy dippy moment, and a real empathic exchange. So I will use myself as the example, and if it resonates with you, great, and if it doesn't, so what? This is a free video. It's YouTube. It's the U-boobs. My U-boobs are kind of stepping out tonight, so maybe I should have worn a different outfit. Oh well. Okay, so hey, it's a free show. So I'm going to tell you about codependent enmeshment first, and then we'll talk about what you want to talk about, which is love and light and spiritual feelings, which are all great, but don't pay the bills. It don't help you solve your issue with your daddy or your mommy, which is about 90% of all problems in the universe, is not solving your problem with your daddy or your mommy. I swear to God, it's that boring and silly and stupid, but it's true. Or your uncle or your weird brother or whatever, but it's usually a parental figure or some kind of authority figure who raised you, a caretaker. Okay, so, and it's fine to love conspiracies. You know, I have a book called Gladio as bedside reading, and it's all about how NATO is the great evil, and they're all involved with nothing but false flag operations, all right? So just love your conspiracies. You want to love your conspiracies, love your paranoia, love whatever you want, but that's still not going to solve your core issue sometimes. So I'm here to sort of blend where the rubber meets the road in that regard. Okay, so I digress a lot. I'm kind of all over the place right now because I'm trying to find that succinct little juicy nugget of information about codependent enmeshment and why it's not a good thing. Okay, so codependent enmeshment, and I'm getting this from a site called Soul Self-Help. This is another life coach guy named A.J. Mahari. This is not the clinical definition. I'm just taking it off his site because it was the first search engine term that popped up on Google. But he describes it as, and it's probably a pretty good definition, it is intricately linked and used in terms of when you're speaking about codependence. And again, briefly, codependence is defined as being psychologically influenced or controlled by, reliant upon, or needing another person to fulfill one's own needs or to complete oneself. So originally, he's saying that the term codependent originated from the recovery movement in Alcoholics Anonymous. Codependents in that sense were defined as those who were dependent upon or in relationship to someone who was addicted to alcohol or drugs. Of course, nowadays, the more popular connection, the person doesn't have to be an addict in that regard, or they can be in process addictions of sex addiction, shopping addiction, food addiction, that kind of thing. Generally speaking, codependents love addicts, so they go like together like peanut butter and jelly, or if you're in Australia, Marmite and toast, or if you're in England, beans on toast, or I don't know what. Anyway, so enmeshment in your family of origin is when we use an individual for our identity, sense of value, worth, well-being, safety, purpose, and security. Instead of two people present, we become one identity. More simply, enmeshment is present when our sense of wholeness comes from another person. So it's, you know, it's not just another way of saying codependent. It is, okay, so some common enmeshment phrases you might hear would be, I die without you, you're my everything, without you I'm nothing, I need you, you make me whole. And many of us find our identity and self-worth by becoming the mate, parent, or friend of a successful and or prestigious individual, or we find the need to fix and caretake individuals to give us a sense of purpose. So enmeshment doesn't allow for individuality, wholeness, personal empowerment, healthy relationships with ourselves or others, and most importantly, a relationship with our higher power. But it sure makes us feel busy, doesn't it? And then there's tons of abuse of power, and he goes on to talk about how usually enmeshment occurs with people with personality disorders. Who often, and I forgot to mention this in the last video, who often are codependent themselves. So it's another aspect of the sinister side of codependency, in that we don't understand that there can be something called comorbidity, which means that personality disorders can blend into one or more. And in addition to that, you can also be codependent. So it's a mess. It's a fucking mess, ladies and gentlemen, pardon my French. And if you want to learn more about that, let's see, who's really good with that? Spartan Life Coach has good stuff on that. Okay, on YouTube, the U-Boob. Okay, so why am I making this video? And I'm actually probably going to have to make two now because I have rambled. But I'll tell you what the difference between that is and something that happens in therapy called empathic enmeshment, which is not in my opinion, it's a clinical term. It's not, I think it's called empathic enmeshment. And I'm about to run out of tape. So maybe I won't. Maybe I'll keep going. No, I don't want to waste the chance. Waste the chance? I don't want to ruin the chance that I might be blocking that. So I think I'm going to make part 2. Maybe a part 3, I don't know. I'll see you soon.